Okay, so just been to Micklegate Bar, now at Monkgate Bar, where if you do come into York, you are interested in Richard III, they have an exhibition just up there. They have like a little museum, and at Micklegate Bar they actually have a Henry VII experience, Henry VII Museum as well. So what we're going to focus on now for the next few minutes is just it's just Richard III, Henry VII on the mind now, Richard III in York. So, on the day of Richard's coronation, the Mayor of York rides out to Middleham Castle, which is where Edward, who's Richard III's son, is, and they present him with gifts, wine, food, to celebrate his coronation. York is excited about Richard III's rule, and they're also quite distressed when it only lasts for 2 years. So Richard would visit York on several occasions. On one of those occasions in 1483, he actually comes here and he stays here for 3 weeks. And on that visit, again, he was met by the Mayor of York, and he was presented with gifts, which were worth about £450, which is an incredible amount of money. So York staked a lot on Richard III being king. He repaid those thanks, basically. His son, Edward, was crowned Prince of Wales in the palace, in the Archbishop's Palace, just behind York Minster. And Richard actually planned to be buried here when he died. So there was a lot of controversy. Richard III is now remembered as the king in the car park. His body was only discovered a few years ago in a car park in Leicester, where it was dumped after his defeat at the Battle of Bosworth. And it's now buried at Leicester Abbey, but there was a bit of a battle going on between where he should be buried. Should he be buried at York Minster, which were his wishes, or should he be buried at Leicester Abbey, which is where he basically laid for 500 or so years. In the end, they chose Leicester. York is, as I say, devastated when he loses to Henry the Tudor, who goes on to be Henry VII, the father of Henry VIII, and grandfather of Queen Elizabeth. York actually sends troops to Bosworth Field, but they turn up late. They don't do any of the fighting. The Earl of Northumberland, who has a house here in York, he is at Bosworth, but he doesn't actually do any fighting. He is repaid by the people of York when he is executed, or when he's murdered in 1489 during a tax revolt. So York had a lot to lose by Henry Tudor winning the Battle of Bosworth. We'll see how they dealt with that next week.